Okay, we are live. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching from, good evening. Welcome to this edition of Sun News Live with Moni-Rose Jones. And you guessed it, I'm your host, Moni-Rose Jones. And today we have a very special guest, very honored to have today in our virtual studio, Miss Tiffany Bacon, who is the newly minted program director of WURD, which is the only Black-owned radio station in the entire state of Pennsylvania. Tiffany, good to see you again.
Hey, Diva, how are you?
I'm doing great. You look so happy.
Thank you. I am. I'm great.
Yeah, and we have you here for multiple reasons, but we mainly want to focus on entrepreneurship and reinvention because even in radio, even though we hear people on the radio all the time, I think a lot of the listening audiences may not know that even in radio, you have to have multiple lives just in case, and a lot of radio personalities and talents that you love have multiple things going on, and you'd be surprised what their passions are. So, Tiffany, I'm going to run down a list of things that you do, and you can tell me if I missed one, okay? Because you got a lot going on.
Okay.
So we got one. So you're the program director of WRD, okay, which we can hear on FM and AM. Okay.
That is right.
You're an actress.
Yes.
Okay. You are a costume designer.
I am.
Okay. All right. Did I miss anything? You make jewelry too, as well, right?
No, not that much. Like
okay.
I dabble in it, but I don't say yes, I do that.
Okay, well, if you dabbled in it, that means you did it.
It's a hobby, but I don't get to dive into that hobby that much.
Is there anything that I missed? Because I feel like I missed something.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I write, I'm a writer. There's a lot of things that I do, but the things I'm focusing on right now are the things that you mentioned.
Okay, so that's great. So it's great to have you. And I should just, I guess, also let the listening or the viewing audience know that you and I are kind of former colleagues. So I don't like to give dates because it's hard for me to reconcile that the 2000s is like 20 years ago, and it's just kind of hard to crease me
in
out.
my mind, the 90s are 10 years ago, and clearly that is not fact.
That's right. So I've known you for like 5 years, okay? There you go.
Right. A little while.
Okay, so let's jump in. So now that you are the program director of WURD, are you going to put your entrepreneurial passions to the side?
To a degree, yes. Most of my focus is doing the work at URD, elevate and inspire and work with what we have. And we have some great hosts and great programs. So I want to continue in that path and do even more. And they're trusting me with that. And so I'm very excited to be a part of the team as program director. But, I cannot let my artistic side go. So I will still work my costume design magic when and where I can. And I'm happy to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And before we jump more into your different passions and talents, what is your vision as a new program director for WURD? What do you feel a different or what kind of spin are you going to put on it now that you're filling in those shoes?
I don't know if I can really reveal that, but I can just simply say we have a great product.
Yes.
And I really want more people to know that we're here.
Okay. So let's transition into actress. You've starred in a couple of films and some as of recent. So let's talk about how for your overall career in radio, at what point did you decide I'm going to go all in on my passions, even though radio is my main thing?
When did I decide to go full in on acting? I have to say the end of 2012. So, full disclosure, I always wanted to be an actress. And I just didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. Like years and years and years ago, when I was really getting started on the radio path, I had an opportunity to also possibly pursue acting. but I just didn't have enough self-confidence.
Mm.
And God directed me in this direction for radio. And so I went with it. You know, I definitely was someone who stayed in prayer and was like, God, I don't know what to do. Please guide me. And so everything pointed me in the direction of radio. That's where I should focus. But it wasn't like I should let theater and film and television go completely. It's just that it needed to sit down for a minute while I focused on this other thing. So in 2012, a young lady by the name of Brianna, she was doing a play and she reached out to me via social media. And she said, I have a part for you. You know, would you like to be in the show? And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I haven't acted in a while. So, okay, let's see what we got. And being on stage in her production, it just felt like home. It was the weirdest feeling. I felt like, okay, maybe I should be doing more of this. And sure enough, 2013 showed up. I dusted off my resume, my acting resume. I had ridiculously old headshots, but I still pretty much look the same. Sort of kind of look the same. Hair is very different, but you know. And then I did a lot of auditions and I booked every audition that I went on that year. And for me, that was a sign. I was like, did I just book everything? Wow. Okay, maybe I need to focus some more. So I did a lot of productions in 2013. And then by 2016, 2014, I decided to really like focus and get some more training. So I trained with Lee Colston, and he had a wonderful PTMI training program for actors. It was a summer program. I did it 2 years in a row. And then the following year, I said, let me take it up a notch. And I traveled twice a week to New York City and to the William Esper studio. And I trained and I still worked my full-time job. I was still on air at the time at Radio 1 and still doing the fashion stuff. And it was a crazy schedule, but it was great.
And that's interesting that you trained in New York. Did you ever think about moving to New York so you can kind of dive into the New York theater scene? Because you know what they say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Although I know a whole lot of New Yorkers, and I'm gonna say I dispute that phrase. I feel like if you can make it in Philly, you can make it anywhere. Because honey, we are hard on folks up in here. We will look you dead in the face like,
this is true, even if they know you.
Even if they know you, they look like what you fitting to do. So no, because I basically am taking care of my mom, so I want to make sure she is okay. So I made the decision. I knew I needed to stay local so that everything is okay with her, and you know, make sure she's great and doing well. So that wasn't an option for me at the time.
Okay. And how did you get into designing clothes and costume designing? Like, was that a passion of yours since childhood, or was it a talent or interest you picked up along the way?
So that was interesting because, well, growing up, both my mother and my grandmother, my dad's mom, are amazing seamstresses. Like my grandmom could make a whole wardrobe without a pattern. She was fierce. Okay. And my mom also, there was a period of time where my mom made all of my clothes and I always looked fly. So I was around, you know, women who were doing that and I watched them do it. I had no desire to do it at all. None, zero, zero. But in 2004, 2004, I started a theater company, co-founded a theater company, and we didn't have a lot of money. We certainly had $0 for costumes. So I taught myself how to sew so that we could have costumes. And that process was crazy. I think YouTube might have been new.
Okay.
And I heard about YouTube or whatever, and I saw a couple of videos online. I took one class just to make sure I didn't sew my finger to the garment, you know, just safety tips and sewing. And then everything else I literally figured out. And I kind of recalled, and I don't even know how I did that. I just recalled mimicking the motions that my mother and grandmother did that I saw when I was little. And for some reason, it stuck. And I was able to figure out how to read patterns, how to, you know, cut the pattern and what the different images meant and how to sew it together. And over time, I just got better and better.
That is awesome. And you know what? Before I move on, because I can hear someone asking me, because when we talked about you being an actress in theater, can you just list some films that you've been in so people can, I guess, go run and see it or rent it online?
Yeah, well, the one that's out now, I believe it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Love You Right.
Okay.
Um, yeah, check that out. It's got an R&B flavor. It's got some good music in it. So please check that out. I play the main character's mother. So
Okay.
you can see that. As far as I'm trying to think, yes, I'm in Mr. Man Frisbee's film.
Mm-hmm.
It's a short film called, I think it's Philadelphia is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Glow,
you
I
can,
think.
Philadelphia Glow, yes, Philadelphia Glow. So you can check me in that. And as far as like theater and stuff, I'm not doing that much theater at the moment, but I've been in a lot of productions. Like I was in a Cash Goins productions of Fences,
Okay.
where I played Rose, which was such a great production. That was also back in like 2013. So I've done a lot of stuff. I was in Ruined by Lynn Nottage, for Colored Girls. I did several iterations of that, with First World Theater, Zahara McGill. A lot of different productions. They're all leaving my mind right now because you asked me to name them and I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, because I want people to know you like you the real deal. You know how some people like they was in one play like 15 years ago and they're like, I'm an actress. You know. So I just wanted to let people know you was real deal.
Yeah. I've been blessed to do. Pearly Victorious. I've been blessed to do a lot of really great productions. Yeah.
Okay. And so let's talk about the elephant in everyone's room. 2020 was the year for a lot of reasons. And a lot of people had to pivot or perish by force. You didn't have a choice. So how were you able to navigate your career and the things that you wanted to do once everything came to a stop for everyone pretty much?
Yeah. I was blessed to be able to keep my jobs intact. With radio, I was able to hold on. I was still on air on the weekends. My full-time job at the time was at Public Health Management Corporation. We were able to continue. The funders knew what we were up against because everybody was up against the same thing. And, we were doing our best to reach the youth, even in COVID. So we were trying to reach them virtually. And so we were able to continue. So that was great. And I thought that my costume design, line of work was going to completely die out because, we weren't going to have in-person theater. And much to my surprise, that wasn't the case. So I was contacted even during 2020, even during the height of the pandemic, there were a few online theater presentations that were going on, and I was contacted to costume them. And it was great. I really thought, oh, this is just not gonna happen. And it did. So, that's to the resilience of the theatrical community, because everybody was hit hard by this, but the folks that, run concerts and do theater, they really just decimated the work. And folks were like, hey, we're gonna keep it pushing. We're gonna figure out a way to keep theater happening. And I was really great. It was really great to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. I know at the previous station you were at, I know can't mention it. You had a talk show.
Mm-hmm.
And so is that, even though you're the program director, are you still going to keep doing your own talk show on WURD?
Yep. I am on Friday. So I'm on the Friday edition of The Source.
Yes,
and so that's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you can catch me every Friday. Every now and again, I'll be preempted by some things, special programming that comes up. But for the most part, you got me 10 to 1 on Fridays on WURD.
Okay. And for those folks who are just hearing about this, what are some of the topics that you tackle on your show?
Yeah, I focus a lot on health, wellness, and the performing arts, and of course, culture. So we'll talk about pop culture. We will talk about the arts a lot. I have a special segment that airs at 12 noon called Stage Door. It is sponsored by Philadelphia Theater Company, and my co-host is Jeffrey Page, who is like a world-renowned choreographer, director, writer, you know, all-around great performer and artist. So we interact with a lot of performers, a lot of people in the arts, not just the performing arts, but also the visual arts, and hope to expand to the culinary arts as well, to talk about the intersection of arts and politics and culture and the world that we're living in. So it's great. You'll hear all of that. I hope to continue to introduce people to folks in the community that are doing amazing things that you may not know about. And yeah, that's kind of what you're going to get on the Friday edition of The Source with me.
Okay, so I know you have to remain tight-lipped about some changes that may be coming under your reign. Can you drop us just a smidge of a hint, just something, even if it's vague, just something we can.
Well, one thing, like I really like to keep the programming dynamic and very like interesting. You know, I'm going to merge in the elements that I represent, the other parts of me, you know, the theatrical part. Of course, the news and broadcasting part is very, very clear. That's been my main career for the last 31 years. But, you will hear those other theatrical elements, storytelling elements. So I should say on Labor Day, we had a program called the Putting in the Work Labor Day Special, where we honored 5 people or organizations with the first Community Impact Award. And these are people who have been out there doing stuff to elevate us, to inspire, to help, to entertain, but edutain really. People who are working to solve problems, things of that nature. People who are in the community really to help. And so we honored them on Founders Day, but we gave them an audio biography that aired on Labor Day. And you got to hear their backstory, information about their lives, why they are what they are, how they got to be where they are, and then information on the organizations that they founded or worked with. And that was all stitched together by the soundtrack of their lives, which was a personal playlist that they put together, but I just edited it together so it sounded like an audio biography. So that's just like an idea, a glimpse of some of the things that, what you've already heard, which aired on Labor Day, but things of that nature.
Okay. And so now that you're the program director, and I think program directors around the country during this time are having a lot of conversations because a lot of turmoil in our country right now, especially regarding, I don't even want to say the word, vaccinations, to vaccinate or not to vaccinate. People are getting kind of, turned up. Do you feel any pressure to kind of address that or weave that into your programming when there's any type of social shift?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things that we talk about at URD is that we are Black 365. It's not for the moment, it is all the time. So anything that affects our community, we're going to discuss, and we will do our best to cover all aspects of it, different angles of it. But the goal is to provide accurate information so that people can look to us to say, hey, let me go hear the word, let me see what's going on, let's hear the experts, let's talk, let's listen to the dialogue around it, let's voice our concerns about things and hopefully find some answers. So whatever it is that's coming, that's here, that's been unaddressed, we look to address it and really provide the community with the most accurate information and well-rounded information as well.
Okay, and so I'm trying not to go back too far, but I guess we both come from musical radio backgrounds, and how do I don't want to say, well, I'll just ask you, which one do you kind of like better, the music side of radio or the talk side of radio?
Are you trying to ask me which of my children I like better? By the way, I don't have any. So these radio babies are my babies. So yeah, no, there isn't a way I can answer that.
Yeah.
I can say I have had more time in with, well, I can't even say that either. When I look to the beginnings of my radio career, the news and talk side was also part of it too. So back in the very beginning, I started at RTI, Temple's back then, Temple University Public Radio, your source for jazz in the 90s. That's what we were when I started. I still remember the imaging. I spent a lot of time with Clyde Robertson and the news department. And so I did a lot of culture reporting, so I had that news and music track going from day one. It's just when we got past WRTI and I started really digging into my career, not as a student, I spent most of my time with music. But then even when I got to the next phase, like midway through, I picked up a talk show, like right away. When I left Power 99, I picked up a talk show. So I can't say that it's all that foreign. It's really always been there. Just for a long time, the focus was radio because that's where the work was.
Yeah, but you know what, Tiffany?
Sorry, the focus was music because that's where the work was.
You know what I think is interesting? I'm thinking as you're talking is that one thing that was the key to longevity in our era. We don't want to count years. Why do that?
That's all right, honey. We here. We can count them. We still here to count them. Amen.
Is that we both had connection to community, like real connections. And all those radio talents that had real deep connections in the community, they lasted longer than all the folks that just had popularity and that's it. That just hit me. I don't know why it's taken. Yeah, so maybe that was the blessing.
All of it, honestly, all of it is a blessing.
Yeah.
I can't ever, and I love talking about radio, and I even love talking about my career because I just feel like it has been such, to start at RTI and to be so community minded, that set the tone. Honestly, that set the tone. It's been quite the blessing, being at different stations, especially when the focus was community. That's been the blessing, and it needs to happen. Like, stations need to acknowledge and lean into the listeners as community, not just a number, not just an advertising point, but these are real people behind these numbers, and how to connect with them and reach them is the thing.
Is the thing, absolutely. So what are some things that you're working on now? Obviously, you're the new program director at WURD. What are some other things that you have going on, whether it be in theater, producing new projects, or anything you would like to share with us?
Yeah, honestly, because URD is my primary focus right now, that's really the main thing. I am doing some costume design work for Drexel University, an upcoming production, for Rowan University, for Lantern Theater Company and Passage Theater Company. So I do have some costume design work coming up for all four of them, and that is also exciting. But I'm very excited to put most of my focus on URD and not to have to split focus.
Yes,
I can really give it all my energy.
Yes, absolutely. And are there any events that WURD has coming up that you want to share, or just things that the station is doing in general that people should look out for?
Yes, definitely. Please check out our WURD Summit. We focus on the environment, and a lot of good conversation will come out of that. That will happen on Monday, October 11th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So make sure you tune in. for that. We have some other initiatives coming up, but you can always find out everything we need. You find out everything we have going on at wordradio.com.
Okay. Okay, so we want to thank you again. And you know what, Tiffany, I personally want to thank you for being an ally to the community. I want to thank you for being an ally to the music community. And I want to thank you for being an ally to the arts community. That's to be noted because where it's happening, you're there. And I just want to let you know that the community appreciates you. And I want to give you your flowers while you're here because you've been helping the community out across the board, arts, theater, music, for many, many years now. And your presence and your contribution has definitely helped move a lot of things forward in this city. So I just wanted to give you your flowers publicly, and just let you know that you are appreciated, just in case nobody told you.
I appreciate that very, very much. I really do. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so once again, this has been our most latest edition of Sun News Live with Moni-Rose Jones. And we have our very special guest, Tiffany Bacon, who is the new program director at WURD, which you can listen to on WURD 900 AM. And if I'm not mistaken, 96.1
FM.
FM. And online, if you can give the website to WURD.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can check out the app. Please look for the app in the App Store, and you can listen via the app as well.
Well, Tiffany, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here on Sun News Live with Moni-Rose Jones. And we're here as a support for you, and we're going to be checking out for you and looking for you and listening to your show as well, and see what you got, shaking for us. And we're excited, and we're glad that WRD did a good thing with hiring you for this position. So we're happy. The community is happy.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank you for including me in your program.
All right. You're welcome. This is the latest edition of Sun News Live with Moni-Rose Jones. Moni-Rose Jones. Until next time.